Former Georgia Lieutenant Governor Geoff Duncan testified at today's January 6th Capitol riot hearing that Scott just referred to. Republican, now he's turned to a Democrat, is running to be the state's next governor. He spoke to me earlier today. Let's watch. Today feels like a partisan exercise. The Democrats want to remember 5 years ago today, the Capitol riot. Republicans don't. It seems to me that is part of your own journey politically, Geoff Duncan.
Yeah, the unfortunate part about today is, only Democrats seem to want to recognize how close we came to breaking the back of democracy on January 6th, 2021. The pressure campaign put on by Donald Trump and those around him certainly was unbelievable, and it really pushed us to the edge. But thank goodness enough people and enough safeguards were in place to allow us to continue to move forward as a country. But yeah, my political journey has been happening for years. I just grew disgusted of Republicans making excuses to solving people's problems. And I wake up as a proud Democrat each and every day now with this improved toolkit that's able to serve the needs of not only Georgians that are voters, but Georgians that need help, that need somebody to meet them in that emergency room when they don't have health insurance, or meet them in that grocery checkout line when they don't have the money or can't afford child care. As a Democrat, I can answer those questions for them much easier than as a Republican.
Geoff, I'll get into that race and your bid for the Democratic nomination for governor in a second, but how do you personally and how do you politically assess the verdict of history? Because you have the law and the facts about what happened on January 6th. But then you have the retort from the president. Hey, I won re-election, so it couldn't have mattered that much.
Yeah, I think you just got to play the long game with history. And the long game is just continuing to tell the truth. That's why I'm here today in the U.S. Capitol. I'm telling the truth in front of the January 6th committee, answering their questions and making sure that the annals of history recognize what really happened. And that was not an attempt to validate an election by Donald Trump in 2020. It was an all-out conspiracy, or a conspired attempt to overthrow democracy. It was organized, and it was intentional. And the lies and the conspiracy theories almost flipped the tables.
So how do you assess your run for the Democratic nomination for governor? I know there's not a lot of polling. You're just recently in the race, comparatively. But you're up against former mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms. How do you persuade legitimately skeptical Georgians that as a lifelong Republican, you are a reliable new Democrat?
Yeah, some of the skeptics will ask me, Geoff, have you lost your mind? And my answer is no, I found my heart. I'm a Democrat, a proud Democrat now that doesn't have to make excuses for Donald Trump or the failed Republican policies. I can talk about Medicaid expansion. I can talk about improving public education. I can do the things that Georgians want us to do. And here's the sense I get from Democrats all across the state. They're ready to win. It's been nearly 30 years since the Democrats won the governorship in Georgia, and that catches most people off guard. And it's a very simple math equation. It's because they haven't gotten enough votes. I'm the only person in this race that can get Democrats, independents, and this batch of growing, disgusted Republicans to show up and vote for us in November of 26 and not let Donald Trump be the de facto governor, because that's what will happen. If a Republican becomes governor, and most likely that's going to be Burt Jones as the nominee, then Donald Trump becomes the governor. And we know what that looks like. We know that Linda McMahon comes in and runs our public schools. Our budget turns into Project 2025. National Guard troops are on the streets of Atlanta. That's how stark the difference is between me and the Republicans.
How do you assess, Geoff Duncan, where you are and where Marjorie Taylor Greene have found themselves in relationship to President Trump?
Well, certainly, Marjorie Taylor Greene has drank more MAGA juice than probably anybody in the state of Georgia, and to see her complete turnaround is something, inspiring, jaw-dropping, you name it. There's not a big enough adjective for it. But, I think we're all on our journeys. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene's situation speaks to the crisis that's inside the Republican Party right now all around the country. Republicans can't make it, they can't even explain Donald Trump. Give a Republican a six-pack in 2 hours, and they still can't explain why tariffs make sense. Nobody can explain any of these actions, any of these weaponizing the Department of Justice. It just doesn't make sense, and that's the crisis inside the Republican Party. And that's the opportunity for Democrats right now all over the country, especially in Georgia. If we can wake up to this opportunity to open the tent and let more folks in that are moderate Republicans, independents, give them a place to call home, we'll not only win elections for a cycle, we'll win elections for a generation.
What did Democrats get wrong in Georgia? What have they gotten wrong? And what would you teach them to get right if you become successful?
I think it's important for Democrats to stay focused. My campaign has really been laser focused on three things. The three things, quite honestly, a majority of Georgians are concerned about every morning when they wake up: the affordability crisis, the healthcare crisis, and the Donald Trump crisis. Those are real. As I mentioned a minute ago, even Republicans can't explain Donald Trump. But this healthcare crisis, I mean, millions of folks in Georgia are waking up not knowing what they're going to do for health insurance, either staying at home, not getting their medical issues treated, or going into the emergency room and bankrupting themselves. And the affordability crisis, I mean, housing, childcare, groceries, you name it, it's a crisis. And meanwhile, Donald Trump is paying attention to everybody in the world but his own citizens.
Pretend I'm a constituent or a potential constituent in Georgia, and I say to you, you know what, Geoff, you're interesting, you're somewhat appealing, but I really care about abortion rights, and you've been diametrically opposed to what I care about almost your entire political career. And I don't accept that you've turned over a new leaf on that. You better persuade me otherwise.
Well, I appreciate the perspective, and I certainly have to share my heart. And this has been a journey for me, one that Kamala Harris actually helped me be on. She explained that it wasn't just because somebody has a personal belief doesn't give us the inherent right to push that on other people. And she was exactly right. And so as governor, day one, I'll sign an executive order that clarifies doctors can practice medicine on women without the fear of prosecution, and also introduce legislation to repeal the 6-week ban, because that's what millions of women want, and that's what they need. It's important for women to make that decision with their doctors, with their families, with their faith, with themselves. And for me, I've taken the time to listen to these horrific stories, these difficult medical situations, these difficult personal scenarios that play out, and I know that women absolutely do deserve the right to choose.
Former Georgia Lieutenant Governor, now Democrat, Geoff Duncan, I appreciate the time, sir. Thank you.
Thanks.